Well, I don't know if there's anybody here who is a sheep farmer. Anybody here ever raised sheep? Oh boy, we need to get a little fence around the back part there somewhere. Start putting a few animals. That's a very young lamb. He could be maybe, or she could be a couple weeks old maybe. But lambs grow very much in the first year. So that a lamb would probably be sold, and certainly if you were having a Passover, you would eat the lamb. A lamb that you would take from the pasture that was less than a year old. And the later it has to, or the more time it has to grow, the bigger it will be. And they're well fleshed. Like you really get quite a good animal when you get a lamb in the first year. And they're beautiful to watch because they do something that most other animals don't. They can jump on all 4 feet. They jump right off the ground and just very suddenly. It's really pleasant to see them. They call a lamb skipping when it does that. And it runs across the field, and it's very, very nice to see the relationship between the mother and her babies. Now this is the text of the Bible that we're looking at, and we'll be looking at this theme for the whole week. Well, that's one day we didn't have yesterday, but Exodus 12, Caden. Where's Caden? He's here somewhere. There he is. Can you read that for me, please?
And thou shalt eat it with your hands, girded, your shoes on your feet, and your staff in your hand, and ye shall eat in haste in his Lord's Passover. For I will pass through the land of Egypt this night, and will smite all the firstborn in the land of Egypt, both man and beast, and against all the gods of Egypt I will execute judgment before the Lord.
Thank you. One of the things that I've found when you're studying the Passover is you really have to observe every verse. There's the little details that are given in one verse that aren't given anywhere else. So if you really want the whole picture, you have to see everything. For instance, that little phrase at the end of that verse 12 that says, "and against all the gods of Egypt." So it makes you wonder, what did he mean by all the gods of Egypt? Was he talking about the people, the mighty ones of Egypt, or was he talking about the actual false gods they had in those days? So these are all questions that come to your mind, but we don't eat too many meals like this. With our staff in our hand, shoes on our feet, ready to walk, our loins girded, all ready to go. That's the way God wanted to eat this feast, and most people don't eat that Passover that way today either. But in that day, because they were going to be leaving so suddenly, that's the way they had to be prepared. Now, I want to take you through a few things that aren't really right at the Passover, but we need to just know this. Who else can I get here? James, would you read that for me, please?
And the sons of Joseph, which were born him in Egypt, were 2 souls, all the souls of the house of Jacob, which came into Egypt, 70.
That's right. So I hope you know what 70 are. How many do you think that is?
40. 80.
Just the number of individuals in that row there. Oh, you got too many. What's a score? 1 score is... Yes? 20. And if you count them, it would be 20. Now there's 40. And now there's 60. And there's the 10. That's how many individuals that came into Egypt. So there really seems like there's quite a few there, but it's nothing quite like the number that went out. The children of Israel journeyed from Ramses to Succoth, about 600,000 on foot that were men, beside children. And the mixed multitude went up also with them, flocks and herds, very much cattle. So we have 600,000 men, and then their wives, and then kids and then a couple animals. So that was sort of the group that traveled together. And, you know, may not have all been there, or there may have been more, but they went in groups. So I wanted to show you just what it might have been like, because if you look at how they crossed the Red Sea, that's always a question. When they crossed the Red Sea, how did they get that many people across the Red Sea in the time? I think probably 12 hours would be about the maximum amount of time they had to get across the Red Sea. How could that many people, with all the children and all the animals, get across the Red Sea? So if you look at it, and you think they're walking about 1.6 miles per hour, that's about the speed they would have been walking. Well, because they had children, they had lambs, they had young animals, and they couldn't move much faster than that with all those animals. Well, if they were 35 wide, in other words, going into the board, so if there were 35 people all walking side by side going this way, it would have taken them 6 hours. Now, we don't know whether they're 35 wide. We really can't tell that. But you can probably put 35 people wide in this room, all walking. So you have to think about how far the water must have been pushed back. If it's wider than that, then it wouldn't take quite as much time. If it was smaller than that, it would take more hours. So these pictures you get of, 2 or 3 people walking side by side, big walls of water, I don't think could have been it, because they just couldn't literally have got across in the time that there was that window of time. So they had to be quite wide to get through there. So that's one thing. Now the other thing is, I hope all of you know the plagues. Okay, so if you just take a quick look at those, that's all the 10 plagues, just one word. That stands for the plague. Which was first? The very first one. All right, let's put the blood first. What was second? Put the frogs up there. What was third? Little tiny things. Lice. Fourth, flies in. Fifth, oh, that's a very good one. Something the animals got. Yes, dude. No, not yet. Yes. Not yet. Yes? Murrain. That was a disease that came upon the cattle, the camels, the donkeys, and they died because of that. Next, gets easier. Boils. We're getting, now it's pretty easy to guess them. So now what was, made a lot of noise when this happened? Hail. The thunders and the lightning. Fire ran on the ground. And then, yes? Darkness, that's right. And what do you think happened after that? Well, no, sort of a locust. Yeah, the locust in there, in the right place, because they were able to eat what was left from all the hail. Then we had darkness, and that's the one that's not in place. So we're looking at this 10th plague. And you really need to be thinking of all those plagues, and every one of us should be able to recite that, like not necessarily recite it as the Bible states it, but be able to put in place the 10 plagues to know what they were. So what happened just before the firstborn, which was at the Passover? It was dark. That was totally dark. It was so dark, there was no light. You couldn't even go to a switch and turn a light on. There was no light. There was no candles. There was no lamps. The only thing they could do if they wanted to move around was darkness such that you could feel it. What that meant was the only way you could get around was you had to feel. Have you ever done that in your house? In the dark of night, just close your eyes. I'm going to find my way around this house and try to imagine what it is that you're touching. Then you touch something, you don't know what it is. And you wake up because you don't know what it is. Well, 3 days of that, everybody would be glad when that was over. But the facts were that the next plague started at midnight. So these people were already a bit spooked about darkness. It was right at midnight when it was dark. They say sometimes the darkest at midnight. That's when this last plague hit. Now we need to know the calendar. Not that we see this month Abib much if you look at the calendar today, but we need to know that that was to observe the month of Abib and to keep the Passover unto the Lord thy God, for in the month of Abib the Lord thy God brought thee forth out of Egypt by night. This month shall be unto you the beginning of months. It shall be the first month of the year to you. Now what is our first month in our calendar? January, that's right. It's January. So Abib and January would be about the same. Now they have an easier or sort of a faster sort of cycle than we do because they would already probably be in the spring. But it's close to ours. And I think you'll see this little pattern coming up as you'll be, in some anyway, in your notes. You'll be seeing that that's the year. So if you can make those months there, which month is Abib? And how do you know? Like if you went to the computer or you went to a book and looked at the Jewish months, you don't see Abib. They changed the name of it. But you can guess which one it should be. Anybody? Any of you with the back? Anybody like to guess which month it would have been? No, you got to give me see those red letters there? That's the months on this new calendar. One of those months should be Abib. Which one is it? There's a car today that's named after it, a car manufacturer. Biggest hint I can give you. You like to take a shot at it? Oh, I'll tell you, that's a pretty good guess. That's not a, but it's a pretty good guess. Nisan. Well, it's a shame they called it Nisan. Nisan came from the Babylonian time, and it's a reflection of the names of the gods, a reflection of the gods of Babylon, and how they would ever, let that stand in their calendar today, that they've got things that they replaced what God told them the name was, and put that in, I don't know, but you can tell because it's barley harvest, it's spring, it's rain. That's the time that we're looking for, that should happen fairly soon here, less than a month now, we should be into spring on our calendar. Now, once you know the calendar, it's important to know the dates and why God gave us the 2 dates for the Lamb. So he says, "Speak ye unto the congregation of Israel, saying, in the 10th day of this month," that's Abib, "they shall take to them every man a lamb, according to the house of their fathers, and a lamb for a house." So, depending on how much you could eat, like the best we usually do with a meal is you'd have a leg of lamb. Usually you don't even eat a whole leg of lamb at a meal. So what you would do is you would get a couple of households together, and so you could eat all of the lamb. You didn't want to have leftovers. And you keep it up until the 14th day of the same month, and the whole assembly of the congregation of Israel shall kill it in the evening. What was the object of keeping the lamb locked up between the 10th and the 14th day? Pardon, I didn't hear you. Okay, well, you had to make sure it was healthy. Okay, and then you had to look at this lamb and make sure that it wasn't having any defects. Now, you weren't allowed under the law to kill a lamb in the first week. And it's really interesting because in my experience with animals, in the first week is when you can tell if there's something wrong internally in an animal. It'll be dead in the first week if there was. It can't survive any longer than a week. But if it gets through its first week and it looks healthy, it's a healthy animal. And you shouldn't really have any problem with it because of what may have happened in its development in its mother's womb. So from the 10th day to the 14th day, this animal's penned up and everyone's looking at it to make sure it's a healthy lamb. You don't give to God something that's sick or that there's something wrong with it. It's got a blemish, it's got a big cut in it, or it's been torn by some animal, or there's a piece missing. You check it out, and if it is perfect as you need to go through that checklist, then that is the lamb that you have. So on the day of the feast of Passover, unleavened bread was to start at that time. So it begins at sunset, Friday, April the 19th, if we were doing it here this year, and it would end at sunset Saturday, April 26th. So really Passover is a month or two ahead yet before we actually do it. But we're going to go through the things about the Passover this week. So there's David. There's the critical dates. This time around will be Monday the 10th and Friday the 14th we're looking at. Now it says an angel passed over the house. Okay, so we have to look at this a little bit and find out what do you think that meant. Does anyone can tell me from just reading that, some of you older ones have read that story, what do you think it means that the angel passed over the house? Because it was a pass over. And the idea of passing over and what the angel did tells you a little bit about the Passover. What does it mean the angel passed over the house?
Did not bother or stir.
Okay, the angel didn't do anything to anybody in the house. They were protected. So the angel passed over. Okay, so when you think of Passover, you're not just thinking of the name. You're thinking of what God actually caused the angel to do. And it's interesting when you read the things. It's not one angel's involved. One angel, it seems, is instructing another angel. And if the angel saw that there was blood on the lintel of the door, on the doorpost, the other angel passed over. If there wasn't, who died in the house? Yes? Well, it would be the firstborn boy. Who are firstborn boys here? Hands up. Wow, we'd be missing quite a few boys. It was good, wasn't it, that God actually had a Passover, and that your dad, if you were in Israel, had sprinkled the lintel and the doorpost, because if he hadn't, yeah, you wouldn't be here. That's why it is so important for us to work together. We work together with mom and dad. We try to help them. When we see that the Word of God's told us something, we don't see mom and dad doing it, we might just say, maybe you should go out there and put the blood on the lintel, because if you don't, I'm dying tonight. And they only had a few days to think it over. So it was important for people to know these things. Now, what do you think, Josh? Do we think we should go for a couple more minutes this morning, or are we going to call it there? Because we got to make up for yesterday. I don't know how we do that.
Well, we have extra time on Thursday.
Okay.
So you can go extra then. It
Okay.
doesn't matter if you go a little extra today too.
Well, we'll just finish this with this slide, and that'll be it. And Moses called the elders of Israel and said unto them, draw out and take you a lamb according to your families, and kill the Passover. And then he tells us that it's not just to be the lamb, but you're going to take a bunch of hyssop and dip it in the blood. It's in the basin, and sprinkle the doorposts. Nobody's to go out of the house until the morning, because God's going to send an angel to go through to smite the Egyptians. And if he does not see the blood on the lintel and the doorposts, the firstborn in that house will die. And that's the critical thing that God said to them. So he would suffer the destroyer to come into your houses to smite you. Now, they had a lot of respect for Yahweh because of all the things he had done in Egypt, the things that they had seen, everything God said would happen, happened. Just when he said it would happen. So they feared God, and if God said this is what you should do or someone's going to die, they did it. And I think even some of the Egyptians would have done it because they had such a respect for God. Some of them, not very many of them. But some of them actually went with Israel. So it was an indication of how impressed they were with the God of Israel. Okay, so we're going to try to put together things for the rest of the week. It's going to be a little bit difficult, but then let's hope we don't have any